All right, welcome back to another episode of ThinkAMill. Oh man, it's gonna be a fun one. It's been a wild week, man. I got Dave Anderson here, the business bully. You know how that
You.
goes. I got my boy Monny here with me. You know how that goes. And
Yup,
yeah,
yo.
it's been a wild week, man. What y'all been up to? How y'all been?
Man, good.
It's good. It's good. Jamal,
Been
how you been?
alright.
You been
I've
good?
been alright, man. You know,
That's good.
regular.
How y'all? I mean, the atmosphere is kind of crazy. I've been seeing a lot of crazy stuff going down, man. How y'all feel about the aftermath of the election?
Not really surprised.
Not surprised, right? I say this is like my first one
Yeah.
as as being involved and like knowing what's going on, and I'm like, holy, this is crazy. This is insane. We're
Yeah,
gonna get into a lot of the rhetoric going on is insane, man. I was not expecting this. This is crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. But first, I want to ask y'all, man. I want to talk about hip hop a little bit, right?
sure.
Um, I don't know, Dave. You're a hip hop guy. Monty,
Yeah.
you're involved in hip hop. So I saw Kendrick was one nominated for 7 Grammys for Not Like Us,
hmm
right? But I kept
Yeah.
seeing Lil Wayne still going on his tangent, crying about this Super Bowl thing. Now,
Right.
my whole thing is this: is it worth to still be crying about? Because I feel like it's not nobody's fault that they didn't pick him for the Super Bowl when they've been had the Super Bowl in New Orleans a bunch of times.
Uh, I think we ain't got to get over it at this
He got to get
point.
over it.
You're risking burning the relationship with something that you obviously want to be a part of. So once you continue down this path of this, every time we see you, it's the woe is me thing. You're better. You Lil Wayne. You better than that, bro. Like,
That's what I'm saying. I feel like to see him, and then even the Jay-Z with the taxes thing, and then he was at the Wheezy Thon, and then he wanted to play the Mr. Carter song, saying the opportunity was stripped from him. I don't think Jay-Z is running around telling everybody we're purposely not going to pick Lil Wayne for the Super Bowl. I just don't think that's happening. I think it's a little bit of a of an entitlement thing. To truth be told, if you ask me.
Hmm. I got a bit of a different take.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
let's hear it.
Well, first thing is, it's New Orleans, right? Like to me, if you don't have the following individuals or their particular or comprised conglomerates on that stage, it's problematic. Big Frida, No Limit, Cash Money, Young Money.
Mm,
Like to me, full stop. Simply because it's not like, and yeah, to your point, there have been Super Bowls in New Orleans, but isn't this the first one since Jay-Z took over?
oh, that's a good point of view. I haven't really thought about though.
Because you also have to remember, you might be a little bit too young for this, but 20 years ago, after Nipplegate, which was 2004, yeah, they stayed far away from anything hip hop for the most part, with very few exceptions. So this is
true.
literally first and damn near only opportunity that Wayne would have had to be on that stage. And I'm not trying to be funny, but until Kendrick started going on his beefing tour, wasn't nobody like, oh, he should headline the Super Bowl. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, his Super Bowl performance was okay. It was okay. It wasn't the highlight of that Drae thing for me, and it wasn't the highlight for anybody. The
Mm.
highlight for most people was 50 Cent hanging his big ass upside
Yeah.
down, talking about "Go short it, I don't want to fall down." So I don't think it is necessarily sour grapes or him whining.
Mm.
You're talking about somebody who, after Jay-Z falsely retired, said that he was the best rapper alive since the best rapper retired, and then backed it up
Mm.
for decades. So does he deserve it? Yeah. Is he gonna get it? Probably not. Is that right? Absolutely not.
Cause my big
You
discrepancy
don't.
with the. Go ahead, Jamal.
You don't think Wayne will ever get a Super Bowl performance? I mean, I know he's probably you're not gonna get New Orleans, but it's very rare that people perform in their hometown for the Super Bowl. I think that was just a LA thing, but I think Wayne can get it. If he got to clean it up a little bit because what he did at his own festival, it wasn't well to me. What I saw, it didn't look like the best performance, but I think he got the songs. I think he got the catalog. He did what he had to do already to get it. He's that level for sure.
Here's the thing. When the NFL was looking for somebody to be an ambassador for hip hop or for music, they went to a particular rap icon. And that particular rap icon had a conversation with Jay-Z, and Jay-Z, according to this particular rap icon, said, "No, don't do it. Don't do it." Next thing you know, he's sitting there at the daggone press conference doing the very thing he told Jermaine Dupri not to do. So you can't really hit me with, it's not like this couldn't happen. It's not like Jay-Z hasn't been known for preventing people from opportunities. And I'm a Jay-Z fan. But I am a person that's going to call a spade a spade. So yeah, if I'm Wayne, I'm a little bit concerned, and if I'm honest, I'm probably a lot bit perturbed. So
my big problem with the Jay-Z situation is how when he went with Colin Kaepernick and then said we're past kneeling, and now you're doing deals with that. To me, when I was brought to my attention, I said, wait a minute,
we know what the kneeling was for, right?
What was the kneeling for again? For the people who I need a little reminder myself actually.
Well, basically what was happening was there was so much police brutality going on that Colin Kaepernick would just sit on the bench. And there was a former soldier who went to him and said, "Listen, I understand why you're protesting, but it's a lot more respectable for you to take a knee." And that came from somebody who served who was a career military veteran. Said, "Hey, you might want to take a knee." Then everybody started taking knees. And then they said, if you start taking knees, you won't be fired. You won't bench, because you have to remember, it wasn't about protesting. It wasn't about the flag. It was about the U.S. Armed Forces contract that they had with the NFL. Because constitutionally, you're not supposed to be using the flag for anything that is commercially financially viable. You're not supposed to do that. You're also supposed to not ever display the flag flat. The NFL does both of those things in order to bring up recruitment for the U.S. Armed Forces, particularly the Army. And so don't get outraged about one violation and not get outraged about another.
So is that point to say, like, when he says we're past kneeling, is that like a good thing he said, or are you saying that's like you got to?
No, it's a horrible thing he said.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Wait, so that's pretty bad. You're saying we're past kneeling, and it goes deeper than just Colin Kaepernick's feelings about black people. That's
right.
crazy.
It's like David Wayans made that funny skit in his stand-up where he said, they'll find one Negro to give a bunch of money to him and be like, "Hey, is there racism?" "No, I don't see no racism around here." That's what that was. You know what the kneeling's about. You know what the kneeling's about. But and then he was like, "But I'm here." And everything.
I think he played two sides of the coin, because he said that, and then he put out a song called "Still OJ," where he's literally speaking about the guy that you referencing. I'm gonna get a guy a bunch of money, and he's gonna say, "I like OJ. I'm not black. I'm OJ." Okay. Jay's confusing in that aspect, because like you say, he'll tell you we over kneeling when we really not. You got people wearing MAGA hats to football games.
Now,
so
is that good or bad?
I mean, they kicked out a dude in Buffalo with the MAGA t-shirt, but then Nick Bosa had on a hat after the game.
Wait, they kicked out a fan with a MAGA t-shirt?
Yeah, because he wouldn't cover it up. Yeah.
Can the NFL do that? Isn't that some type of discriminatory act?
Private business.
Wow.
The stadium is a private entity, so they have the right to refuse whoever they want.
That is sickening. So I mean, Jay-Z and I've always been aligned with the Democrats. I mean, this makes perfect sense to me. Sure. As of why he would do that. But it's just kind of crazy. So now when you break down that perspective on Lil Wayne, has he been there? Had they been there since Rock Nation took over? That is kind of interesting, because the way the industry reacted, I was like, they have to know something. I mean, based on all the title situation and how people felt about that and how everybody was coming at Jay-Z, and he even still did it, even though he paid his taxes and helped him when Birdman wouldn't help him. I was like, there has to be some underlying shit going on that people don't really understand.
I'm not mad at Kendrick, the Kendrick choice. I think he's on fire. I think it works. I just think the timing of the beef ruined it for Wayne.
The timing, right?
Yeah, because it's like Wayne's not gonna be a part of this now. He's not going on stage with the dude who called his man's a pedophile. He's not doing that. It's not happening. I know they got songs together. That's cool. That's not happening.
I mean, I was hearing a lot of people say, like, it's bigger than the Super Bowl is bigger than New Orleans anyway, and majority of the people from the NOLA. This is what some people of different skin complexion were saying, that majority of New Orleans people wouldn't be able to afford to go to the Super Bowl anyway. So they're gonna pick the act that's bigger than New Orleans to draw a more wider audience. And I was like, oh wow.
But Lil Wayne is one of the biggest global rap superstars in the history of the genre. One, two, the Super Bowl is bigger than LA, but they got a whole bunch of LA artists. If you don't count the fact that Mary J. Blige is from Yonkers and 50's from New York, like, nah, this was a choice. I don't think anything happens by coincidence. I don't, and I think it was deliberate. I think they particularly overlooked that whole situation. And I'm just not a fan of it. I don't trust this. I don't trust corporate Jay-Z. You know, I don't
think
like
you gotta.
Jay-Z.
I think you gotta play the game. I think it's like kind of like the Grammys, how you gotta play the game to get the Grammy. I think you gotta play the game to get the Super Bowl, and I don't think Wayne did that. I think Kendrick and his crew, you can tell they're playing the game everywhere. You gotta play the game to get what you want. The Grammys, you play in the game. It shows 7 noms. He already won 17 times or something like that. That's so he plays the game, and I think that's how. Yeah.
Or does he have a boss that runs half of the industry named Jimmy Iovine?
Who? Yeah, that too.
Wait,
does he?
Jimmy Iovine they under above TDE?
Kendrick linked with Interscope.
Interscope.
Oh man.
Jimmy Iovine made more money on Beats by Drae than Drae did.
Yeah.
Jimmy Iovine won the East Coast West Coast beef. So let's not act like he's playing the game other than he's taking orders. And see, that's the problem. I'm not an employee. So when employees base their logic on award shows and things that don't matter, you mean to tell me that somebody who's a multi-billionaire at this point really needed that NFL job? A person that can literally buy out any arena at a given time needed that NFL job? No, he took it because it was just a nice little appointment. And he took that appointment because there's a whole bunch of other people behind him that are fueling that situation. All of these folks are following orders because ain't none of them own a damn thing.
See, I see when you brought up Jimmy Iovine, I didn't even look at it like that. Sometimes we look at the artists like the household, and there's nobody else above them. Damn,
somebody above everybody.
I honestly, for some reason, I thought TDE was like this independent. I completely forgot they did it. Damn. It changes my whole perspective on this whole situation. It's too many.
To get to a certain height using it with independence is very, very, very tough.
Well,
yeah,
I don't know.
It never happens. You can't point to somebody
not
independent.
A hip hop.
No,
not a hip hop.
You can't point to anybody independent. Hell, even outside of hip hop, look what they did to Madonna. Madonna had a record label called Maverick. Michelle and Ndegeocello was trying for 15 years to get a record deal. They gave her one and they shut Maverick down because of who Madonna chose. That's what they do. The industry is controlled. Y'all love saying, oh, who's my man? Chance the Rapper? Oh, he's independent. Yeah, okay. Macklemore, he's independent. Yeah, okay. Come on, man. They make you feel like these people are independent because they craft that story.
What you think about Russ?
Can I use the bathroom down here?
No.
Mom's in the shower.
My bad.
You good.
What about Russ?
I don't know enough about Russ to say one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole Chance the Rapper thing for a long time, they had me thinking he was the biggest independent when he dropped that Colors album through Apple. I said, how you drop a whole album through Apple as an independent? How, Chance?
It don't happen. And like people can say whatever the hell they want, but I was in the industry since the Reagan administration. So I've seen a lot of come, seen a lot of go. You can't even name me an artist that has not cut the check in order to get where they are. Can't name one. Up to and including Elvis, Michael Jackson, Boyz II Men. I can do this all day. Pick somebody.
But
I can show you who wrote their check.
I saw that. So how they let Michael get away with just buying the Beatles catalog and
nah.
It wasn't as easy as they made it seem, right?
No,
he's dead.
Yeah, that part.
They didn't get away with it. They killed him.
You got to remember, right? So I want to try and respect your platform and stay on topic, but you brought up a question, so I'm going to answer that direct question. So Michael is a constant learner, was a constant learner, God rest his soul. So he's having a conversation with his friend Paul McCartney, and Paul was like, yeah, no, the real money is in publishing. Well, tell me how that works, Paul. Well, Michael, you buy publishing and then you can put it in commercials, distribution, so on and so forth. Every time somebody spins that song, you get a check. You can license it out, blah, blah, blah. He said, matter of fact, in 2 days, my the Beatles catalog goes up. He said, okay. And then Mike was like, yo, buy it. And basically, he bought the company that owned the Beatles catalog. That company also happened to wind up later on through various and clandestine processes, taking over half of Sony. So Mike wound up with half of Sony. And I saw the paperwork because Dick Gregory showed it to me, and I was like, yeah. So those are power moves. And when we make power moves, they get real upset. That's why you got to be like the Dark Knight, the first Dark Knight. Remember the first Dark Knight when Bruce Wayne had bought all these companies through shell corporations, this, that, and third, and bought his company back? That's the move you got to make. I own things you'll never know I'm a part of. That's it. And you can't trace it back to me. That's how you have to move if you want to stay alive. Mike didn't understand that.
That's genius. Now, speaking of power moves, Diddy is still requesting bail. Another $50 million. No internet, no phones this time, security monitoring, and putting his house up in Miami or all this collateral. Should they let him go?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen, right? Like, why you say that?
He's not coming home. And that's, I'm not hoping that he stands, yo. I don't have a feeling out of one way or another right now, to be honest. He need to go through the process of the courts, but they not letting that man come out of jail. He got too many resources. They don't trust him at all.
Even though he's acting like he's gonna surrender and let them monitor, he still can make some moves.
They don't care.
Here's what everybody's missing. You can't bargain with what you do not have. So let's break this down. If at any given time Diddy had a freak off at that house in Miami, if at any given time he had a freak off in LA, if he had a freak off in these properties and these things that he's putting up, those things become what we call in the legal department fruit from the poisonous tree. They're going to seize it anyway, so it's already in play. So you have nothing to work with. The only thing they want from you is what they already got from you. And I told people, go back and go watch. You've seen enough of my interviews. Go back. I said they did not go to do that to get evidence against Puff. They went there to make sure they got evidence against everybody else so that they could then leverage it. Because you got to look, if you just run down with very few exceptions, take Megan Thee Stallion and Glorilla off the table, damn near everybody else who endorsed Kamala Harris has either been to one or has been directly associated with Diddy, up to and including Oprah Winfrey.
So, Dave, what's taking so long? And then I want to say one more thing, because I see people like Mark Lamont Hill trying to make this a race thing. Oh, they only want to release Diddy stuff, and they didn't do this to Jeffrey Epstein. They didn't go to anybody else's house with the feds and arrest their children and put them in handcuffs. Why are they trying to make this a race thing? Like, as if Diddy's not really a monster, if he is.
Well, I mean, we're all monsters. You're a monster in somebody's life, Drae.
True.
All of us are the bad guy in somebody's story. The truth of the matter is, here's where Diddy went wrong. It's nothing wrong with being kinky. It's nothing wrong with being a freak. The problem is twofold. Number one, when you drug people, that's a problem. Number two, when you use your company money to move people across state lines against their will, and they've said it was against their will. Number three, after you have said freak off and somebody's done from their drunken or drugged out stupor, and you tell them they can't go, that's also illegal. When you pay for prostitutes, that's also illegal. And I don't know, when you blow up Kid Cudi's car, all of that's illegal. That's where he went wrong. The thing of it is, the one thing that, and I'm not trying to move your show forward, but the one thing that I'm really excited about is the fact that Trump won, because he's going to release that Epstein list too.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that.
So it's not just a black thing. But
I've been waiting for that, and I've been waiting. He said he was going to release the MLK docs. I'm excited to read those.
We going to get into Trump. Let me ask y'all about the simple fact that where's my train of thought going here? I just had a good question for y'all. Goddamn, give me 1 second. I just lost my train of thought. Oh man, you said something. Damn, you said something. Hold on. Damn, I lost my train of thought, man. Jeez, I had a good one. Damn, what was I about to say about Puff that I wanted to ask y'all? Oh, Dave, the lawyer. I forget his name, from Houston, who has the hotline where you could just call in and say, if you've been accused by Diddy. Because they said it's about 100 and something people who've already came out. Is that even realistic? Or is this guy just like, I mean, how do you start a hotline and say you've been abused by Diddy?
Oh, I'm so sorry, Drae. How do you start a billboard campaign that says if you've ever been accosted or touched by Bill Cosby, you may be entitled to compensation called Gloria Allred?
They had that?
Yeah. In New York, in LA, in Atlanta, in Philly. What are you talking about? For years. They did the same thing with Shaq, but Shaq just paid Gloria Allred to go away.
Wow.
So how many accusers would Shaq have had if he didn't just cut the check?
I do
How
think
many
Shaq's a little
accusers do
creepy.
Puff have? How many accusers does Puff have because he chose not to buy that book from Cassie and just bury the whole thing?
And now they trying to debunk it to say the book wasn't real and all this crazy stuff. And my whole thing is this, right? We see those celebrities talk about, they come out and talk about Kamala Harris, but nobody's even said like free Diddy, free my brother, hope you're doing well. I just want to know. It's really starting to make me think it must really be that much dirt on a lot of people if nobody has even said free the bro or anything. Not even like a picture of him. Like, man, nobody has said nothing.
Oh, so
Nobody.
we're gonna act like cancel culture is not at an all-time high here, Dre. We're going to act like we don't know that Jennifer Lopez had that gun and had gunshot residue that night. We're going to act like the only person who is really talking, who aside from Jaguar Wright, is Shine, because Shine's a diplomat in another country who already took the L for him. They got a whole documentary on Hulu about the situation. 50's talking about it. Everybody else knows what time it is. There's a clip of AJ Calloway, formerly of 106 in Park, who was working for Extra at the time, I believe. And he asked John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, what's the wildest thing y'all have ever done? And she was like, oh, the Obama thing. And John Legend, and it's hard to make a high yellow old faced boy look pale white, but he was like, and she was like, oh, I'm in trouble now. Yeah, you in trouble because you talked about the Obama freak off. Oh, wait, I said too much.
Oh man. Speaking of Obama and all of these people, we're gonna get into that. And last thing I want to hit on this subject is, I don't know how much you're involved with the Lil Durk situation, Dave, but are you aware what's happening?
If I'm not mistaken, that's the young man that paid somebody to delete somebody else, right?
Yeah, and what I want to ask y'all, because he paid somebody to do that, and now he got 2 more charges tacked on, and it's just getting worse. And now he's officially going against facing life in jail. And my thing is, 32-year-old man, 6 kids, a wife, you're still running around beefing with 24-year-old boys. I see a lot of the older guys who have platforms, Dave, they're trying to blame this on hip hop. And the whole Diddy thing as well,
Hip-hop.
they're trying to blame this on hip hop. This is hip hop's fault that they're going through this. They only want to target our rich black men. Diddy, Lil Durk, they trying to target our rich black men because I said, wait, time out. Y'all gonna act like, when does self-accountability come back into play? How many times you gonna keep blaming everybody else except ourselves?
Two things can be right at the same time. I think hip hop has been weaponized at least since 1992 to keep black people on a certain path, and if you're not on a certain path, you go into obscurity or become worse than a has been. You become a never was. The other part of that is, you can take the
I
kid out,
agree.
but you can't take the ghetto out of the kid. So hip hop is responsible, but it's not responsible by itself. And the other part of that is, if we're going to talk about hip hop, don't just start with the rappers, because I can find a rapper on every street corner in any place in America. There are rappers literally in Iowa right now. Got
Yeah,
hot
it's the
60s
labels.
for you. Yeah, I mean, it's the labels, and more importantly than the labels, it's the record companies. Because record labels and record companies are two different things. One's an imprint, and the other one is the actual means of distribution and the money and the power. So until such time as you're ready to, like I've always said, bring Jimmy Iovine out of his ivory tower, go after Clive Davis for all the things he's done to black people, but you won't. Look, keep it on the rappers because rap is so negative. Man, please.
That's like, somebody has to be contributing to this. There's a lot of other factors. I mean, these kids aren't just blowing up out of their own pocket. I mean,
And when are we gonna say make better choices?
what you mean?
Above all else, we say these free these people, or they're attacking these people. If these people made better choices, there wouldn't be anything to attack.
And that's my thing. The whole free,
It's common sense.
the whole free this person thing. I feel like if somebody's doing something out, and you know what, I heard someone else try to say. They said that white people, and I hate people. This is why people think I'm so obsessed with race, I guess. But I just see different things. I have to talk about it. But as they were saying, like, white people can't say why we say free people, because they wanna claim jail culture is our culture. And I've heard somebody say this. I swear, big platform. He's like, you don't understand why we say free people even if they're wrong, because those are our people that are in jail. I said, wait a minute. I don't want to sound like Uncle Ruckus or nothing, but I don't know them niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to tie myself to jail culture because our people in there, when it's, bro, this whole debacle is just honestly ridiculous. And I think that's some of the talking points. I don't know where people get them from. And I feel like a lot of people just been doing content for so long. They developed the platform and nobody has ever really got the question of shit that a lot of people be saying, especially some of the street dudes who just got platforms now and everybody follows them. But yeah, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind.
No, but here's what we're not talking about. There's this thing called the Constitution, which is a living, breathing document. It's supposed to change. It's supposed to evolve, as it should. It's almost like taking a superhero franchise and rebooting it with a new actor. That's why we have so many amendments. There's one called the 13th Amendment. The good part is it says no American should be enslaved except for when he commits a crime. Then they started making crimes out of anything. You go out looking for a job, you're loitering. Oh, you reading? Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you trying to go out here and provide for your family? No, you can't do it. So everything becomes a crime. So it's not about jail culture. It's about the fact that jail in the prison system has been weaponized and privatized in order to take advantage of one of the largest American exports, and that is Black physical labor.
Yes.
So that part is why you say free such and such. Because if you also look statistically, and I'm talking from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, not from my skin tone, Black people get 2 to 3 times more for the same offense as their white, Latin, and Asian counterparts. And until such time as you're willing to address that part of it, miss me with the this, that, and the third. Because no, they're not my kind, but they are my color. And at any given time, 33% of us will be in prison at some point in our life. That means 1 out of 3 of us is going, statistically.
And that's scary, bro. When I hear that statistic, I get very scared. And I'm like, it's nervous because like then now I see why a lot of the fear mongering works about now you're gonna start getting shot by police every time you go outside. But we'll move into that right now because I've been seeing, like, speaking of that, the 4B movement. I don't know if you guys been hearing that. Now every woman is like, we're not gonna talk to Black men for the next 4 years because we didn't vote for Kamala Harris or whoever didn't vote for Kamala Harris. And I'm like, I feel like this is another feminist kind of agenda. It seems like it's going down the same route where it's causing this unnecessary division. And a lot of the talking points are you're going to start getting shot in the head because of, you know why, Dave? That big police immunity conversation.
Oh, my God. Here we go with this immunity thing. First of all, police have immunity. They've always had immunity. This comes down to whether or not you're crippling somebody financially. That's what that thing completely means. The other part of that is Black men voted just about at the same rate for Harris that they voted for Biden. So what are we talking about? Oh, we're talking emotions because you feel some type of kinship towards somebody who calls herself a Black Jamaican but couldn't finish the following phrase. Boom, bye, bye, and a body boy, aid. Miss me with it.
Because I said this, I said, yo, the moment she lost, she flakes on all the Howard U kids. I personally did never feel that she was really, and when she went to the NABJ, I watched her interview, and she gave them little kids the cold shoulder. I mean, it was the most I didn't want to be here interview I've ever saw in my life, and that was the opportunity to really speak to the Black audience, at least for me. But yeah, I don't understand. And then you know what's funny when they talk about rhetoric? They talk about the Republicans have bad rhetoric, but it's really all I've been seeing is liberal women talking about how bad Black men are going to start getting shot in their head. Don't call them.
Why is it always Black men every time they don't get something they want? And I mean the Dems. The Dems have to look at themselves. It's their fault that she lost. It's all their fault. This is all the Democrats' fault. From the top down, this is all of their faults. They need to relook at the way they do things. They are broken. You lost everything. That should tell you something. You lost states that you shouldn't have lost. That should tell you something. The president lost and the senator won that was a Democrat. That should tell you something. From the top down, the Democrats it's a problem. It's a problem. And the American people just showed you what the problem was. We're not going for this no more.
What he said. The other part of that is, and this is Black people's fault, and I'm going to tell you why it's Black people's fault. In the early 90s, one William Jefferson Clinton, who, by the way, used to be called Bubba when he was governor of Arkansas, decided to eat some fried chicken, talk about how much he liked the bust of Aretha Franklin, and then went on the Arsenio Hall show and started playing the saxophone, and Negroes started calling him the first Black president. Then, Cardi B helped Joe Biden win the election, right? Along with the 20 million votes that nobody can find. And the pandering just kept happening because Black people never demand any tangibles. And the second you do, they look at you like you're crazy. Ricky Smiley's comedy writer, a guy named Special K, said, yeah, y'all don't understand that, Ketanji Brown Jackson could be reading in Kamala Harris on Martin Luther King Day. So you got a Delta reading in an AKA on Martin Luther King Day, and y'all want to talk about reparations. Yeah, we want to talk about reparations because our community is in disrepair. We
I don't
have
care that one person is getting a special privilege. What about the rest of us?
yeah, but see, that's how they think. And see, the problem is the majority of the black electorate think like that. They would have white adjacency or adjacency to what they perceive as power over financial, economic stability, independence, and self-accountability, because those things are just a little too conservative for people who are arguably the most conservative people in America.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, when you think of Democrats, you automatically think, oh, they got the black vote. The Democratic Party don't help us.
Never have,
to
and they don't have
to just own our vote. Like, oh, if you don't vote Democrat, you're not black. How dare you say that to a black person?
Do you guys think?
Who do you think you are to tell us what we have to do?
The same people who've been doing it for 6 decades.
And that's the problem.
That we've allowed to do it for 6 decades.
That's the
and
problem.
Anytime somebody says something, oh, well, you a coon, you da 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 da. Like, come on, man.
You guys know what I just discovered? During the Civil Rights Act, when it was passed, it was actually a Republican senator who helped get that through, because a lot of the Northern Democrats didn't even want that. So I'm like,
Northern Democrats are not for black folks.
I'm like, how did we get here?
we got here because of what LBJ said. Now, keep in mind, LBJ still had, respectfully, John Kennedy's blood on him. And he was forced into a situation where he did not want to sign that thing. He famously called it the N-word bill. Yeah, I'm gonna give you your N-word bill. But he told Martin Luther King to his face, you're gonna have to force me to enforce it. You have to make me enforce it. Like, people love talking about, oh, Trump caused an insurrection. What do you think the March on Washington was going to be until the government deployed MLK? And that's not me speaking ill of MLK. That's me stating historical facts.
What was the March on Washington?
The March on Washington is where Martin Luther King famously gave the I Have a Dream speech. The reason the March on Washington was happening was because black people wanted equal rights. They wanted to be able to have opportunity, access to capital, checks, fair wages, fair housing, all those types of things. That wasn't happening. And so the young people around your age and younger, were going to converge on Washington. It was going to be a whole situation. And they said, "No, let's bring in SNCC, let's bring in MLK, and let's chill this thing all the way out."
And divided us up.
Yeah, we'll make it a protest, but nothing's going to come of it. See, that's the thing. That's what we do. We go out here, we put our hashtags on, we sit up there, we march, we sing, "We shall overcome," but nothing ever happens. One crazy person went to a love you long time Asian red light district and shot it up, and Kamala took off her pearls and her chucks and got her ass on Air Force 2, and the next thing you know, boom, stop Asian hate bill / COVID-19 bill, but the George Floyd bill still sits unsigned.
Wow.
Everybody else makes moves. We make gestures, and they know we ain't going to back it up. The only thing that stops things and makes revolution happen in this country is the loss of revenue or the loss of blood. Nothing else. If you can find something else that makes change, let me know.
Oof.
I'll wait.
We haven't had the proper political power in 60 years as a group of people. So
I like that. Well, now I want
to actually make something happen.
I want to ask y'all, do y'all think that because I had to like make fun of Plies a little bit, because as soon as the election was over, he was suing a few rappers. It could have been gone, but I love how the headlines came out as soon as the election over, because I don't see all these trollers and the Democrat what they call tap dancers really trolling black people anymore, calling us stupid. Except Roland Martin, he's still calling everybody idiots on the internet every day. I don't think he's ever going to stop. He's 24/7 around the clock. But do y'all think her endorsements kind of messed this up for her? Because a lot of people feel like, yo, we didn't need that, and it's embarrassing. And I hear that they're in debt. They got some debt.
How you blow $1 billion and still wind up $20 million in debt? That's question number one. Question number two is, why in the world would anybody take advice politically from somebody whose claim to fame is "Bust It, Baby"? Like, I mean, yeah, no, I think with Plies, it's a situation where he's been cosplaying like a goon for so long that people forget that he has a business degree. I also think that you have to understand and be a little bit more compassionate with the fact that he just lost his biggest bag. So of course he's gonna go sue, because how else he making money? You're not buying them records. When the last time you played Becky? When anybody got Becky in their playlist right now on Apple Music? Is it even available right now? You know what I'm saying? He got me speeding in the fast lane, pedal to the. Oh wait, Nate Neo singing that part. I can't even tell you what the verses are. Like, let's not act like this dude is some type of bastion of hip hop. Whereas though he even said, like, this isn't even a situation where this dude has the or portrays the intellectual fortitude of someone like along the lines of a David Banner, where not necessarily every record is a hit, but you respect him because he actually does work in the community. What do you hear Plies doing? Anytime I've ever heard Plies say something is, "Hey baby, I want somebody to come out right now, baby. We're gonna be respectful. We're gonna take care of. I need you for a video that nobody's gonna watch."
But how does it work though? Because I mean, I had people call me a MAGA agent, and I was like, I don't even know how to get money from a political party. Like, I'm just making content based off what I understand. So how do these people actually even get paid from these political parties? Like, how does that even work?
Bro, they know who to buy and who not to buy. They know who to reach out to and not to reach out to. If they thought that you were somebody who was corruptible enough, they would have reached out to you on either side of the aisle. And there's a lot more evidence pointing to the Kamala side than there is to the MAGA side. I'm not saying that MAGA doesn't pay people, but what I am saying is I've seen a ton of influencers from all different walks of life, black, white, female, red, non-binary, whatever you're calling yourself this week, getting bread to endorse Kamala. There's all different types of things. I've done videos about it. The gag is they thought that they were just going to ride influencers off into the sunset. But the truth of the matter is, if you can't complete a sentence, like I can't speak for nobody else. Did you send him the questions? Because I didn't get the questions. Did you send him the list of questions?
Yeah, you should have the list. Yeah.
I don't have a list of questions. So what I'm able to do is use the 2 square feet of real estate between my ears in order to answer the question that's being posed to me. Kamala can't do that. That's why she ran from Joe Rogan and went straight to Shannon Sharp. And that's not to say that Shannon Sharp isn't in fact Sharp, but he ain't Joe Rogan.
Yeah, and
she's not
that's a fact.
No scrutiny, and that's what it is.
I think they ran a terrible campaign in that aspect, and that exact aspect that you're talking about. The way that they didn't break it down to the American people. They didn't speak to the American people. They didn't help you understand what they were putting out there, or they didn't keep you captivated enough for enough time telling you anything. Like, yeah, Trump did have a longer time frame, but the reason he won is because he spoke on the fact that things are not okay. And I think basic Americans can see that things are not okay when you go pump your gas and when you go pay rent.
You think
it's out of control.
You think a big thing was that he had more time and she kind of got thrown in there too late?
No, I think she got the stink of Joe Biden on her, and she didn't. When they asked her what would she do differently than Joe Biden, she said nothing.
Yeah, that was
right there lost her the election.
And I be having to point that out to people.
Elon Musk. Bro.
I had to point that out to people when she said we're paving a new way forward, but she said she wouldn't have done nothing different. I try to like put the clips side by side and say, well, where were you going? Where do you think she was gonna take you guys? And then whenever I would hear a celebrity, and Dave, who's the black girl? Malika? Is her name Malika Williams?
Who?
Malika. She's the one who was going back and forth with Roland for a while. The black girl. She was with Trump, and she was.
You're talking about Michaela Montgomery.
Michaela Montgomery. She said something good. She said if abortion is the only health rate they can advocate to y'all, that is not healthcare or something of that nature. So whenever I would see a celebrity like Cardi or Megan Thee Stallion go up there, and the only thing they would talk about is abortion, I'm like, what is going on in a world where all these American people feel so many different things, and these are the only things that people can go up there and say? I thought that was really insulting. Truth be told, I thought that was very, very insulting. And when I hear people say, "Oh, y'all let women down," and then there was still a lot of women who voted Republican, I'm like, well, who are we talking to? You know what I'm saying? I feel like they've been trying to speak for the whole, and when there's still other, and that's why like the map, when you see how many states Republicans won, it's like you can't blame it on anybody because look how red this map is. This is proof in the pudding that something was just not right coming out their party.
Let's be honest, our women, from what it seems on the internet. No, I'm only talking about the internet. They seem like they were duped by the white feminist. And the numbers kind of back that. Early Kamala campaign, you see white women out in droves saying, "Oh, get out, get on the phone, get on Zoom calls. Yeah. We got 150,000 people on a Zoom call. You know, we're breaking numbers, we're breaking donating numbers." And then you look at the polls after the election, and it's, damn, she lost in white women. How is that even possible?
You know,
did they vote against their own interest, or did they just vote with their interest?
And I heard Tasha K say something good. She said a lot of y'all got paid to endorse Kamala Harris, and then y'all went and voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
A lot of the celebrities. I feel like a lot of them did that because I did not see anybody except Sexy Red with her booty cheeks out talking about I voted. but everybody
We're
else was
talking about
endorsing her.
people. We're
I didn't see
talking
no
about
voting.
people with money
All of them.
here. We're talking about people with a lot of money here, and a guy who's telling them, "I'm gonna cut your taxes." Of course, they're gonna go vote for him.
Mm.
You think they have money? They can get abortions. They can get on a plane and go get an abortion in New York,
Yeah,
where it's always gonna be legal.
No one's starting a GoFundMe for the cast of the Avengers.
Yeah, like, come on now. We
That-
gotta stop. The main thing here is the Democratic Party did bad.
Yeah.
Let me in layman's terms, they did bad.
And
Like,
Dave,
it was your election to lose. The man already did January 6th. That is enough for you to talk to regular Americans. Go to those states that you think you have no chance of winning. Go talk to those people.
right.
You don't have to be there forever. You have a jet. You can bounce state to state. You have helicopters. You have motorcades. You can bounce state to state and just talk to people. Do you know that he literally tried to go against what the Constitution of America says? He did the most un-American act you possibly can do.
Well, we're gonna
nail that home.
We're gonna get to Donald Trump. All right, we're gonna get to him. Let me ask y'all, what do y'all think they did with the $1 billion they spent on Miss Harris?
What you mean? You mean Mrs. Emhoff?
What do y'all think they did with the money?
Megan Thee Stallion, Glorilla, they dropped $500,000.
They pocketed it, Jamon?
Come on now.
Hilarious. They that's hilarious, bro. They also, gave 6 figures to call her daddy, whatever podcast it is.
Jesus, no way.
Yeah.
And to get 70,000 views is insane.
To tell Joe no. I think at trying to get men to vote for her, if you really wanted men, you go to Joe Rogan. If you really wanted women, you go to Joe Rogan. If you want the American people, you go to Joe Rogan. He's number one. He's been number one for like 10 years now.
On Earth.
Like, he's him.
But wait.
He's him. They give him 9 figures every time they cut him a check. He's him. You go sit with that man. He's the son of hippies. He's a lifelong Democrat. Go sit with the man.
Right.
There's nothing else that you can gain from that but sitting with a Democrat. He's not gonna hurt you unless you give him a reason to, and you did.
But wait, y'all telling me making weed legal for black men wasn't enough? Like,
I'm sorry.
And $25,000 wasn't enough?
Like,
$25,000. Well, no,
I'll say the dudes that's in jail could come home if she did that. So, round of applause.
What, the weed thing?
But what about cryptocurrency helps anybody in our community? Let's be honest. Like, we can get cryptocurrency now.
Wait, so if they would have made that weed legal, they would have had to let go everybody who's in jail for marijuana right now.
I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
Pretty sure that would be how it would work. How are you going to hold somebody for something that's no longer legal? That's like, imagine prohibition was legal up until 1986. Then all of a sudden they stopped prohibition and find a way to make money off of alcohol, which they eventually did. Do you think the people who are still locked up for illegal bootlegging would still be locked up? You'd have a hard, like, anybody on appeal could get that.
Yep.
So it doesn't make any sense. The other part of that is, right, if you're not willing to talk to the American people about things that are tangible instead of things that don't make any sense, say you're going to put black male teachers in schools, not for them meager salaries, not for those headaches, not for that indoctrination camp where all you do is cut men off at the nuts. I'm a teacher, so you can say that to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? I'm a college professor, but I am the son, grandson, nephew, stepson, and father of teachers. You can't tell me nothing about teaching in public school. I done seen it firsthand. I went to the worst high school in America. I've seen it as a student, and I've watched so many of my immediate family members do it, and all the BS they go through, and how every last one of them teachers unions is in bed with the federal government.
Wow.
Of course.
And so,
of course, I work in a high school right now. What you see is a system that's set up to teach the kids one thing: there is no consequence to your action. And then when you leave the high school, you see there's nothing but consequences to your actions. These kids, they get in trouble in the streets, they come home immediately. Most of these kids do not stay nights in jail. They come home with an ankle monitor to continue to commit crime because there's no lessons. So then it goes into the schools. The kids, they don't go to class, they don't do their work because a lot of them can't read and write. It's a real problem in the inner city. Do you think that there's systems in place to fix that? No. They label you as a child with a disability, which is And in my head, it doesn't make sense. That's not a disability. That's just a lack of learning. You just didn't teach them something.
Mhm.
They don't have a disability. But of course, it's our kids. They're gonna label them as having a disability,
Mhm.
and then that just sets them up for the next place that they're gonna
Mhm.
go. Because
Right.
if you look at the statistics, like you said, 33% of us is gonna end up in jail. They gotta have you stupid if you're gonna end up in jail.
School to
Yep.
prison
A lot,
pipeline.
Yep.
most people with intelligence don't go to prison.
No. And most people with money don't do crimes.
Exactly.
That's how that works. So if you keep somebody broke and you keep somebody uneducated, guess what you're going to
It
have?
sounds like slavery.
Going back to those amendments.
It sound like you niggas not gonna learn how to read and write, and you niggas ain't gonna make no money, and we gonna keep you in the same state that we had you in since you got off a boat.
Do y'all think she was ever qualified to run as president, though?
Not at all.
Do you think y'all? Why you say that though?
I
Okay.
think she was actually.
Please break this down. You have the floor.
So she worked in all three branches of government at high levels.
Talking
Very
point.
educated woman. Yeah,
Talking
it is a talking point.
Mainstream
It
media
is, but
talking
it is
point.
true.
What we talking
Yes.
about?
But it's also true.
Okay.
So I think she's no more qualified. I think she's more qualified than her opposition. I'll say that. Maybe not the person that they should have chose to run the country, even though he's already running. I don't think he did that great of a job. But I think they should have chose someone different for both parties. But I think she's more qualified than Trump. I think Trump just ran a hell of a better campaign. Hell of a lot better.
Are you done?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So a few things. I'm gonna work bottom up as opposed to top down, right?
Yeah.
So from the bottom up, every last position she had, she was either appointed to, or she was elected in a extremely liberal area. She's never had to take on any serious competition, and when she did, she came in 13th place. Donald Trump as a write-in in the Democratic primary. You heard what I said. Donald J. Trump as a write-in the Democratic primary came in 7th place. She came in 13th. She didn't even make it to Iowa. She was appointed vice president because they didn't really want a real one in there, right? So she got appointed to damn near every position. And then there's an argument to be made about the fact that because of her relationship with Willie Brown, one of a sexual one of an adulterous one, that she got into politics in the first place. And Willie Brown proudly talks about how he put her in position. So if you have been appointed and you couldn't even handle it when you were running on your own, and the reason she couldn't make it when she was there on her own is because, unlike most people, because I donated to her when she was running on her own, because I found her quite entertaining. I thought she was great in those Senate hearings. I thought she knew how to talk. But the truth of the matter is the reason she didn't make it on her own, because she didn't have the money to run the campaign, because nobody believed in her. So where were all the AKAs? Where were all the black women who said, we don't get behind women? Da, 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 da. Where was Van Jones talking about? You're going to see a lot of brothers say support the sister. Where were they in 2019?
It was Obama, right?
Yeah, he didn't believe in her because he knew what you knew and what I knew and what anybody who does not watch MSDNC knows, and that she is not qualified. She has worked in
Why didn't they pick Gavin?
Because here's why, and this is what nobody talks about, and I'm so glad you asked that question because that is a brilliant question from a brilliant man. Let me break this down to you. You had Joe Biden at the top of the ticket, right? You had Kamala Harris at the bottom of the ticket. When you have funds held up that were supposed to be for a Biden-Harris campaign, if Harris ain't on under those funds can automatically revert. It's almost like missing a GoFundMe, or missing a Kickstarter. You got to have somebody on that ticket. And she wasn't on that ticket. That's point number one. Point number two, there were a bunch of donors who said, we got $100 million right now, but we're not giving it if Joe Biden's on that ticket, up to and including one George Clooney. So they was like, yo, we're not going to miss out on these funds, so we're going to get Biden off the ticket. Now, also keep in mind, she is a horrible, horrible liar because she said, and please fact check me, I'm a fallible human being. I don't know everything, but I do remember what I see with my own two eyes. Fact check me on this. She said many times in front of the press corps, oh no, I've seen Joe run circles in the Situation Room. I've seen him outthink his staff. He's sharp as he's ever been. I have no problem running behind Joe Biden. Well, do you think you need to step up if Joe Biden's found incompetent? Well, that's never going to happen. I would, but there's no need for that because Joe Biden's as sharp as he's ever been. Then Trump beat the brakes off of him. Because this man got up there and said, hey, I beat Medicare. But here's the thing. Everybody knew he had cognitive issues in 2020 when he was running and they kept him in the basement and said it was COVID that was keeping him in the basement.
He
Trump
said a
was doing
bunch of
rallies everywhere.
bullshit on that debate stage. That was.
And you know what they did
He
on
said the
Fox?
wrong name like 10 times.
You know what they did on Fox when Brett asked her? She said Donald Trump is incoherent or whatever. That he said, well, when did you know that about Joe Biden? And she didn't have nothing to say. But they ran a whole campaign calling Donald Trump incoherent. Whatever they were trying to say, whatever they would, you know that word that they were throwing around.
I think it was just a whole bunch of missteps. They like to say, well, why people connect with Trump. I don't think it was so much as people connecting with Trump that people just did not connect with the Harris campaign
You
at
think
all.
that people don't feel like we'll get into that, but you think that Trump just connected with the people better, or
I'm a black man. I'm 26. The things I saw from the Harris campaign, who I did vote for, I just know what 4 years of Trump felt like. So I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that.
The first 2 years or the second two?
All four, to be honest. They wasn't that great for regular people. I'm a regular person. I didn't see great shit going on.
You talk about 2016, right?
I'm talking about all 4 years. For black men, at least. I don't know about
but
all
Javon,
people.
You know that majority of you know who holds the most black killings? Obama holds the most black shootings, bro. Trump got one, and that's George Floyd.
Oh, I remember as far back that I can remember with the Obamas.
And he dropped the most bombs.
Trayvon.
He had about
and then
5,
it went
6, 7,
it was
8.
like a run after that. After Trayvon, it kind of spiraled out of control. So yeah, I think it was more so just the climate of the country. You know, we was just going into college at that time, so we was young still. And the climate to the college campuses that I was on, it was kind of out of control. White people got a little too bold when he got into office. They felt like it was safe to be their natural selves. You got to kind of quiet that down.
So it wasn't
I
really
think cops always did what
it was more just a sense of racial tension.
Yeah, I think with the police thing, the police always do what they want to do. That's nothing new. They've been shooting and killing black men since they were founded.
I mean, I don't know, bro. And I've been a person that's been pulled over before. I've never really had, and I always talk about, like, you know, auntie and my family is fully Democrat. When the whole 2020 situation happened, the George Floyd thing happened, a lot of conservatives got on my ear about, like, the gun to the pregnant woman's belly thing and all that kind of stuff. And then there's some experts who try to say, well, he didn't really kill him with his knee. They try to say he overdosed. I don't really know what happened, but they try to say some experts, like, the way his knee was on him, he couldn't have really choked to death. They couldn't have really actually did that. And what's his name? Chauvin ended up going to jail. Sure. I just feel like that thing right there. I feel like that was such a bigger deal than it had to be across the board. With the way they made it display,
it was a big deal. It's a big deal because they killed the man on national television.
I mean, but my thing
is, they put it on national. Once they put a man dying on national television, a black man crying for his mom while he died, it's gonna go there.
But you
know
But you know why I'm upset about that, and the only reason I have is because, like, we do that on a time. I mean, Lil Durk is going to jail right now for making fun of Quando Rondo when his cousin got killed. You know what I'm saying? No, and he put that in the song. So I feel like why?
See, I mean, what you speaking to is the fact that there's division in the black community, and black people are okay with the division. And when black people harm black people, people be okay with it. But when white people or other races harm a black person, and it's a racially motivated thing, then it's a problem. It needs to be a problem when anybody hurts a black person.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm like, where did we come to a place where I was mostly talking about to the national TV point? Like, why are we shocked that something? Because, during that same year, some random person shot a 2-year-old baby in the stroller, and nobody covered that, though. So I was like, why is this such a big deal? When it was a 2-year-old who just got shot in the stroller, nobody want to talk about that. But why is this one? And I feel like because they can make the people so radical when this type of shit happens.
Because police are supposed to be there to protect you and serve you, and they don't at times. And I feel like the number one.
I don't think that's all the way true, Jamal.
Tension.
Let them rock.
Their motto is protect and serve.
Certainly.
So when you go into what they use to radicalize, like you said, the thing that caused division the most with our community is our tension with the police department, which it comes from the slave catchers. So when you going into those things, we've never really had a sound relationship with police. So it's always going to be used to divide and cause tensions. That's the number one thing that they can use. We've never had sound relationship with police departments ever. Why not use that if you want to instill fear or
So that's what I'm saying. How
But
can we
it
be
works because you're sitting up here doing their rhetoric for you.
that's what I'm saying. I said, so if you say why
it
not use it, then it's
works.
like, why, you know, if we know it's a game.
No, I'm not giving their rhetoric. I'm just
You
saying what
literally
it
just
is.
gave all of their rhetoric. Because here's the truth, and here's why. There were more police killings under Obama than there ever were under Trump. That's point number one.
True.
Point number two, George Floyd never called out for his mama. He was calling out for his girlfriend whose nickname was Mama.
Same
point, no, it's not. Because my mother has never
mama.
No, time out.
Mama is
mom
to me.
Did I let him cook?
You let him cook?
You did. My apologies.
Did I not get this man the respect?
You did.
You did. My apologies.
Even though I got a child his age, I gave this man his respect. Did I not?
You did. You
okay,
did.
Cool. There's no one has ever mistaken my wife for my mother, least of all me. That woman's nickname was Mama. She said it. That's who he was crying out for. Fact number two, and this is the big one that no one wants to talk about. There is so much surveillance footage from the time he went, and I was on the same thing you were on until I saw all of the footage from the trial, from the actual trial, submitted into evidence and documented as fact, right? I saw all the footage. And in that footage, the first thing you see is him coming in there, trying to pass that bill, him leaving the store after getting into a confrontation with the store owner, then him being in the car with his drug dealer, right? The cops pulling up on him. Then they put him in the car. And George Floyd says, no, I can't be in this car. You got to put me on the ground. Then when you look at the angle, because it's amazing how if you're in a car and you're on the passenger side versus the driver's side, the perception is different. When you look at where he was placed and where his knee was placed on him, then you look at the other two autopsies that came out. Yeah, that man had enough drugs in him to kill a horse. Not only did he ask to be put on the ground, not only was he sitting up there doing that, not only that, the girl that he was talking, he wasn't calling for his mama, but that's a real good Ben Crump narrative to get money. Then the other part of that is all you got to do is put out a powder cake. And you know where all that happened? It happened in Minnesota. In Minnesota, where the same person who you said was so qualified said she was going to bail out people who were burning down buildings. Mm-hmm. So when you look at what actually happened, when you read the transcripts, when you understand what happened, did Chauvin act responsibly? Absolutely not. Did those cops sit up there and let him do the most? Absolutely. Was there a lot of culpability to be had in the entire situation, not just the narrative that they painted? Yes, that's like saying with all of this information that we got in one of these, that you think that Rosa Parks just randomly got on a bus one day and randomly just didn't want to get up on her seat. You know, it's deeper than that. You know that she was the second
somebody
choice.
Before her. Yeah,
Thank you.
Before her.
Well, don't start. Lady. So when you have this level of information at well over a quarter of a century at this point, young man, you got to start looking at what actually happened, not just the rhetoric they're teaching you. Because if you want to talk about tensions, do you know what happened the day that Obama got inaugurated the first time in 2009? Gun sales went through the roof in rural right communities. You want to talk about racial tension? Ain't nothing more tense than that. But we're not having that conversation. Nobody's having that conversation. Y'all talk about George Floyd, who was absolute reprehensible individual, should not have died in the street, but still a reprehensible individual. And we don't have that same level of vitriol for Sandra Bland, a black woman who got killed by cops in Texas, and no one has opened up a federal investigation on that. We're not talking about the fact that Black Lives Matter raised $90 million plus, and Tamir Rice's mama still ain't got a dime. Trayvon mama and daddy still ain't got a dime. We're talking about a dude who was literally scoring his high. Cops pulled up on him, not only for passing a counterfeit bill, but for literally doing a drug deal in plain sight in broad daylight. And they made him out to be a hero, like he's Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, or Malcolm X.
See, I don't agree with that part. I don't agree with them doing.
That's what I said.
I'm sorry. Did you see murals and statues and all that?
No. I agree. No, I agree with you. I agree with you saying. I don't agree with them doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they took it too far at that point. I think, yeah, he should have been treated differently. And I agree with you. Okay, you just educated me for a fact. Yeah, I take that.
Yeah, and like, bro, I mean, that's embarrassing to see a mural of George Floyd in the middle of wherever the hell it is. Like, is this a representation of what black lives and strong black men who deserve justice should look like?
What's embarrassing is that it takes for that thing to happen for us to come together. That's what's embarrassing.
Bro, I've been
We should
trying to,
come together just because we go see how our communities look.
and that's like a beautiful fantasy, and it's so hard in retrospect. And there are small, minute groups of people who like to do this kind of stuff. But truth be told, even me and you at our age, bro, we would love to say we want to come together, but in all reality, we can't even go to a certain neighborhood because we don't want to deal with certain Negroes from over there. So it's like we gotta really, that whole thing of unity is kind of like almost I don't want to say a lost cause. It works when it works, but let's think about. I mean, I'm reading fucking Claude Anderson's book. I mean, as much as I would love to put these principles and powernomics together, we gotta remember who we're dealing with half the time. We gotta remember.
We can't even come together with the educated black people. They can't even come together. We can't even get on a consensus there.
I mean,
because it's so much climbing and trying to get to the table with the white people instead of trying to build our own table over here, which is us.
It's not only that, black people don't respect education. They don't respect well-read individuals.
At all.
You don't want a scholar. You want a rapper to tell you what to do.
You're corny if you read a book. I carry books around with me all the time. Why you got that book in your pocket? Why not?
And there's
a
big
phone
division,
in my pocket.
Bro. I mean, we should have.
I just want to read.
We should have known it was a problem when black people have associated being smart to talking like a white man. So when you say when they see you talking correctly, oh, you trying to sound like a white person. As a kid, I couldn't catch that, but as a full-blown adult, I can understand that we don't even associate ourselves with being intelligent people. We can't even see it.
They made everything cool, corny.
Exactly.
Everything that we should be doing, to properly survive and thrive, they made it corny.
Now, I don't want to take it all the way over there because we can go down a rabbit hole. What I want to do here is touch on with y'all. Trump has won 370 electoral votes, got all, basically majority of the damn swing states.
Got all the swing states.
Got all of them, right? Will Donald Trump actually save America? Or, no, because I want to ask you something about tariffs, Dave, in a second. I've been looking into this. I want to ask you about it. Because I hate the internet is such a hard place to do anything nowadays because there's always somebody just trying to flip
so much misinformation.
What do y'all think happens now that Donald Trump is in office?
Have you not seen what's already happening?
I've seen what's already happening. And I
got a question. I got a question about that as well. Do we think that is a coincidence that all of our, because what I seen a video that you put out, Drae, where it showed all of the foreign powers, many of our enemies are rejoicing what's going on in our country right now. Like, oh my God, Trump's in office. I want stable relations with America. Trump is gonna find a way to end the wars. It's confusing to me. Or let me phrase it like this. Does it make sense that all of our enemies are just cool with us now?
Yes. It makes perfect sense. You're looking at it from a 26-year-old's perspective, respectfully. Let me break this down for you, right?
Okay.
I'm 6'1.5", 250 pounds. You know, I lost 312 pounds. I'm in the best shape of my life. You're going to think differently about the way you talk to me if you see me in person versus my 5'1" wife, 140 pounds. You understand what I'm saying to you? There's a difference. It doesn't mean that you don't respect her. It just means that I have a bit more of a physical imposition. You might be able to beat me, but you know I'm going to take an eye. You're talking about somebody who literally met with the head of the Taliban and said, if you don't knock this off, I'm going to bomb your house. And he told the translator to translate it. And the head of the Taliban was like, what the hell? And then Trump reached in his pocket and pulled out a picture of this man's home, the one he didn't think Trump knew about. See, there's a difference between carrying a gun and actually being willing to shoot it. Trump is willing to shoot it. All of a sudden, Hamas, who's doing this situation with Israel, is like, no, we want peace. We don't want no problems. We want to talk. Everybody wants to talk now because they know Trump is going to stop this. Not because he's the best choice, but they don't know what to do with the man who cannot be controlled that easily by the deep state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they said he's holding a phone call with Putin to stop the war in Ukraine,
which would have never happened, and it didn't happen in the 4 years you were talking about where you felt so tense. Wasn't no new wars under that man.
I'll say this.
Like to do.
I felt tense all my time since I I was old enough to realize what was going on, I've been feeling tense. So I'm not gonna say it was the most tense. Trump was the most tense that I felt. It was
Jamon,
tense the entire time.
I'll get back to that. Because that's a good conversation right there. But now
Yeah.
that he's here, um, because now that majority of the Senate and all these all red all over the place. Are we going to be in a place where, because people are going to think he's going to come in and make the world super conservative? I truly don't. Honestly, I'm not a sucker for anything. I rock with RFK Jr. and I'll say that on the platform. And I was going to vote for RFK Jr. until he said, you just vote for Trump instead of voting for me. I'm like, well, that's kind of not fair. I want to vote for you, bro. But my whole thing is this. I truly believe that he's going to get America on track, bro. And even if you go back, I feel like he was the only person ever really concerned about the real problems in America and not the bullshit stuff.
Correct.
I truly feel that in my soul that he's the only person who, and I don't care what all the rich people, oh, he's a corrupt billionaire. Okay, everybody who's rich probably had to jump a few loopholes to make more money. And he admitted it and said, he admitted it and said, I abused the tax code just like everybody else did. So I feel like that's the only negative thing they could say about it.
I don't care what the billionaires say. They all presidents use the office to get them and their people rich. That's what happens.
But the thing was, he was the only person whose net worth went backwards.
But I'm saying they could say that about Trump. That's not a shot at Trump. Trump does that, cool. Everybody else did it too.
No.
Time out.
You know what I say?
Time out. I got it.
They use that as a shot. That's lame.
Wait. There have been 46 presidents, about to be 47. There's only been one who's lost net worth. One.
Yep. Exactly.
Trump. So the richest guy lost money being president, while the president before him got a $60 million Netflix deal, and his net worth went up by about 850%. So who's corrupt? He didn't need the gig. He didn't even need to come back for the gig.
Yeah.
You know?
And the only thing I hear people saying now, since they don't have any other rhetoric to use or any other narratives to spin, all they can say is the tariffs are going to destroy the economy. Now, this is what I'll say, because I've observed both sides. A lot of people are saying different things. Some people say what the tariffs are going to do is they're not actually going to go in effect only on certain industries. We'll use like Toyota. Okay, only Toyota gets hit with the tariff, and what that does is create more jobs over here because they're going to have to start making them here so they don't have to get hit with the tariffs. And then two, some people strongly feel like they saying everyone's going to get hit with the tariff, and then it's going to make the price of everything go up even more because now the businesses over there have to overcompensate for the price of the tariffs. I don't know which one is true. And then there's another saying that he's going to remove income tax in exchange for giving them more tariffs to basically like a power move. You're not going to send shit here for whatever you want because we couldn't do it to you. So we're going to get rid of income tax. But my only question is it that easy to just get rid of federal income tax?
Why wouldn't you? It was that easy to start it in the first place.
Mm.
What are you talking about? Like, it's not that hard. You can start or stop anything at any given time. Trump said he wanted to have a space force. We got a space force. It's not that difficult. Like, there are certain things that can happen. And by the way, this is the problem when people start talking stupidly, right? We're going to tax the rich. Yeah, that's how income tax started, because there were so many. You couldn't just come into this country and just sell everything the way you wanted to. But when they started to open up those floodgates, they said, you know what? In order to make up for the losses that we're feeling, we're going to start with taxing the rich. And they taxed the rich to about 90%, and everybody was still living good. Everybody was living high off the hog. And they said, oh, well, we got away with the wealthy. Hey, let's see how else we can go get this money from. And then they went after the middle class. The poor people don't never have no damn money, but they taxed them too. Then after they got rid of that, they went and sent the CIA agent and her operatives, by a woman by the name of Gloria Steinem, and said, you know what? Black women, you're women first before you're black. Why don't you go? You can work for somebody else, even though we had the most stable incomes, the most stable families, the most stable household structure in America, bar none. And they said, you know what? Overnight, we just doubled the workforce, which means we just doubled the taxable income. So when you tell me, oh, well, is it that easy? Stroke of a pen. The same way Biden could have got rid of student loans with the stroke of a pen and then fought it out with the Supreme Court, which he did not do. But he had time to sign 17 executive orders on Inauguration Day. It's very easy. Will it happen? Don't know. But I'm excited about two things. I'm excited about no income tax, and I'm also excited about destroying the U.S. Department of Education.
See, we could talk about that as well, because I see all the woke guys. I won't say any names. I'll just call them the woke guys or whatever. My thing is this. Oh, you're going to abolish the Department of Education. I don't think people really know how it works. And I'm not the biggest expert on it. But the whole thing with Black history in schools. This is my take. I'll let y'all say yours. I don't understand why they want the oppressors teaching them Black history any fucking way. So I don't really mind. But Dave, I'll let you talk about what you about to say.
First of all, the
Wait,
U.S.
wait, Dave. Before you go, because I know you're gonna kick some knowledge.
Go.
Facts.
I'm not nervous. I'm a little concerned because I don't know what comes after that.
Mhm.
Because I know that's how a lot of schools do get their funding. So I'm concerned about that part. But I do know that the schools have tons of problems as well. I do want to hear exactly what you think comes next.
Certainly. There's a few things I need you to understand first, right? The U.S. Department of Education is a slush fund. They make $90 billion a year available to the U.S. Department of Education, and that money's going somewhere, and it's not going to the students. For every student they put up, they get about an average of, I think, about 27,000. And don't hold me to the numbers because I'm kind of pulling from memory. I don't have it written in front of me. The other part of that is you get extra money if you have a certain amount of IEPs or people who have different types of levels of autism, ADHD, all that kind of good stuff. You get more money for that, right? So the last thing you want to do is put them in a situation where they can homeschool, right? The other part of that is the kickbacks that the federal government and through the U.S. Department of Education give to the different teachers unions then becomes problematic. Now, when that goes away, we can't be naive and think that the federal government is not going to help. What happens is Republicans and conservatives, and even Democrats used to believe this, governments don't need to handle everything for the people. The people are able to govern themselves. Do people not realize that there are 51 constitutions, not just one? There's 51 constitutions. There's the United States Constitution, and every single state in the Union has a constitution. There's a reason for that, because the states are there to govern themselves. And when it comes to a federal level, then they become the United States. Death Row and Bad Boy were on the same, were different labels under the same record company. In other words, Bad Boy's a state, Death Row's a state, Interscope's the country. So once you understand that, then you also have to understand that if you're making or allocating $90 billion per annum and you have not one student in Baltimore who can read at grade level, what's going on with the money? If you have all of this money coming from the U.S. Department of Education, plus you're getting kickbacks from Domino's Pizzas, you're getting kickback from Burger King, you're getting kickback from Coke and Pepsi, you're getting kickback from Frito-Lay, right? Most of those companies also were bought by cigarette companies, so a lot of the stuff that they put in the food is absolutely addictive. How are you mismanaging to that point? But you've got, all of these principals, or a lot of these principals, making multiple six-figure salaries, if not high five figures, but the children aren't getting any better. You ever seen a movie called Lean on Me?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, that movie, y'all keep thinking Joe Clark was some type of hero. Joe Clark was the bad guy. They sent him in so that New Jersey could give more funding to East Side High in that school district because they had to raise the test scores. So you are not about educating your child if you send them to public school. You're about making them really good test takers and really good workers, which is what Rockefeller wanted in the first place. So you want to know what comes next? What comes next is the government will then have a board, and that board will allocate based on performance. It will be merit based. And then you know what happens with that? The government is going to put the onus on the state to regulate itself. And when they do checks and balances and things aren't checking out, then guess what? Federal funding gets snatched. Y'all figure it out. You got a state budget. That's how that works. And that's how it should work. Also, half of that money could go to everybody who wants to homeschool their kids, like I do with my 9-year-old autistic daughter. Like we do with my 9-year-old autistic daughter. And, you could put some of that money back in working Americans' pockets that have to be able to take care of their child under a situation that really requires what is called special needs care. Because you tell these children they can be anything that they want. You tell these children to strive for individuality, but then you tell them to conform and act like everybody else. Which is it? That's not education. That's confusion. And the U.S. Department of Education is one of the biggest architects of confusion in America. And if you don't think so, look at the test scores and get back to me. And look at the fact that every single news organization, every single magazine, every single TV show speaks at a 5th grade level, at best in a 3rd grade level on average. So until such time as you can show me where all this education is happening, miss me with your concern about the U.S. Department of Education, because it's failing.
Facts.
And that just wraps back to the election. The Democrats spoke to the intellectuals, and they won the intellectuals. They lost everybody else.
That's not right, because that's like saying there was some very smart people, I'm pretty sure, didn't vote Democrat.
No, that's true. But
you think they only spoke to the intellectuals?
No, they won. Yes. I think they didn't speak to the common American. They only spoke to the college-educated American, and I think they lost a lot of people there. Just to wrap that back.
You do realize the majority of the people in the Midwest states are not very educated. They're pretty much hands-on labor, factory workers, farmers. Those people voted in mass for Republicans. The Democrats only spoke to the lowest common denominator with fear.
Yeah.
Everything is fear. It's not about, because you can't do me a favor. Put your hands like this.
Trump spoke with hope. That's a fact.
But Trump also spoke with policies that he's had since 2022. But put your hands like this for a reason. Name me 3 policies that the Democrats ran on for president.
This one? This election?
This election. 3.
Abortion.
Abortion.
What about it specifically? The policies, not the title, the policy.
Honestly, nothing. They was like, we're going to protect your rights, and they never really explained it.
Okay, cool. Because by the way, abortion got overturned. Roe versus Wade got overturned in 2022. Trump wasn't the president. And they could say it was the Supreme Court all they wanted to. But if you're in there and you're saying on day one, you're going to force Congress to write a bill in order to bring back the protections of Roe versus Wade, why didn't you do it then? What else you got? You said abortion. Give me a policy because we haven't had one yet. Keep going. I asked for 3.
I'm going to be honest.
Assault weapons bans?
I'm going to be honest. I didn't hear too many
and she got quiet on that.
When I would watch the interviews or I would watch a debate, I didn't hear too many policies.
Price
I just
gouging?
heard I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. Not I'm gonna have a policy. I didn't see too many of those. Nah, you're right,
bro. I watched every single one.
Bunch of open promises.
Just because I make a lot of content, price gouging, assault weapons bans, universal background checks. I don't know, working on Roe v. Wade, whatever it was, bro. That's really the strongest one. That's it.
But again, price gouging. What does that actually look like? Because if you know anything about retail, especially when it comes to groceries, because she kept talking about eggs and groceries and things of that nature. Do you not realize that grocery stores have the thinnest margins of any business that anybody could start? You don't have a whole lot of room. So where are you gouging?
You can't talk to just your base. You have to reach over the aisle. And from what it sounds like, from just hearing everything you two have said to me just now, it sounds like they didn't reach over the aisle and try to grab anybody because you're just saying democratic issues. You already have those votes.
Before Obama came in, when they were talking about inflation, this is where Obama messed up too. He said, Trump got a great economy because of me. Then they went on a whole election and said he had a bad economy. But Obama came and said he only had a good economy because of Obama. So which one is it? Was his economy bad or was it good? Because
it's whatever it needs to be, because he's a politician and he's a professional liar. He's a much better orator than Kamala. But the other thing is I don't want to miss that. Assault weapons ban. How are you going to ban something that you use on a regular basis?
That's what I said.
Because the Secret Service, see, the thing of it is the Democrats will tell you, oh, we don't like walls. And why you got so many walls up on your private homes? Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris. We don't want assault weapons in the hands of the people. Well, you're a gun owner, so why do you have the Secret Service with the same AR-15s you're trying to ban? And how does that work? Especially when there's a Second Amendment that says I have the right to bear arms in order to fight tyranny, not to protect my home, to fight tyranny. Even Jefferson said the blood of the government has to flow in order to keep democracy alive. And I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, that's Second Amendment talk. So what are you talking about? That you have no policy. You just have rhetoric. And because people like buzzwords and titles more than they like actually reading policies, which is why all they kept saying to you Negroes is Project 2025, but none of you read 936 pages of it. I did. And you know when I read it? 2 years ago when they released it. You know what else? The guy who started the Heritage Foundation, he didn't endorse Trump. He endorsed Kamala.
And you know what's crazy, Dave? I remember you the one who put me on to Agenda 47. And now all these videos are coming out of what he's going to do. They've been out for months. But media was talking about Project 2025 too much. I'm like, I was watching these videos 3 months ago. And now all the Hollywood Unlocked and all these people want to, where was y'all at when they was smearing and putting black people in fear of 2025? This is
weird because if you look around the Harris campaign, it's a lot of lifelong Republicans over there. And then when you look at Trump's inner circle, it's a lot of people who were lifelong Democrats in his inner circle. It's very, very, very odd and confusing.
I mean, I don't really know the right answer, but I believe it I put it like this. I mean, shit, everybody has to make a career switch here and there. Some people get fucking so bought into the thing, you got to stick to it anyway. I mean, Trump was a Democrat at one point in time when he was a New York guy, right?
He was.
If I'm not mistaken.
And he said, if I ever run for president, I'm gonna run Republican. He said it himself a long time ago.
Absolutely.
And I'll ask you, and then we'll probably end it here. We've been there for a little second. How does this deportation look, Dave? What do you think?
Phenomenal.
I'm not really too up on the deportation aspect and
It
how it
looks
goes.
it looks phenomenal. Yeah, that's how it looks. Here's the thing: you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. There's a process. See, the problem is they start to conflate actual legal immigrants who are on the who are on the process and actual asylum seekers with a bunch of people who crossed this border illegally, decided to circumvent the system and disrespect the people who decided to take part of America's promise by leaving whatever war-torn S-hole country they left in order to come here for the greatest country in the world. You say whatever the hell you want about America. If America is not that great to you, then why the hell are you here? You can go to Ghana
and that's why they voted for Trump. And that's why so many of them voted for Trump, because they seen them people coming over from Venezuela and wherever else they came from as disrespectful.
But
yeah, it is disrespectful.
The Hispanic community showed it with their vote. It was disrespectful that y'all let all these people come in here and taint our name because I as a black man, I will understand it if a bunch of black criminals just got released into America and got to do whatever the hell they wanted and was ruining or souring the way people feel about black people and lowering the standard of what they felt about us. I would feel some type of way.
Right. The same way you can't conflate jail culture with black culture. You can't conflate illegals with people who happen to be Hispanic or happen to be legal citizens who've been naturalized through a democratic process that they had to take months, if not years, most likely years, to do, 7 on average. So yeah, no, what's going to happen is he's going to round those folks up because they're not too hard to find. Most of them are in certain pockets. There's a bunch of them in Pennsylvania. There's a bunch of them in New York. There's a bunch of them in California. There's a bunch of them in Arizona and Nevada. And they're going to get them the hell up out of here because you know what started to happen? They said, and your vice president said, oh, well, you know, if you look, the numbers are getting lower. Yeah, that's because they're not crossing the border. You're putting them on planes and they're just flying directly into different parts of the states. And my whole thing, you started creating these sanctuary cities. Don't get mad when a governor that don't want them in their state sends them to them sanctuary cities that you said that they can seek asylum at. You created that. Then on top of that, you don't take my taxpayer dollars and then give it to people who didn't pay into the system. You're giving them education. Wait, watch this. This is the one that should piss every black person off. You're giving them education. You're giving them job training. You're giving them housing. You're giving them food. You're giving them shelter. And you know what that looks like to me? It looks like they gave them my reparations.
That's exactly what it looks like.
I'm sorry, because ain't that what we asking for? Ain't we asking for maximum skills as opposed to minimum wage? Ain't we asking for them to take care of us? Ain't we asking for them to give us the fair shake that our ancestors were denied? They did it. And you know what we did? Nothing but get around them and defend them like some buck dancing coons. But then the people who are telling you this shouldn't be happening and them people shouldn't be there are telling you wrong for standing up for black people. You put you're trying to get your own interests.
Because as a culture, we put on a pedestal non-educated people. We make education lame.
Wow.
If we educate ourselves as a culture, we will rise. And to my Hispanic people, if you're legal or not, if you are legal, you should carry your documentation, because I do not think that a bunch of people with guns that's going to come and get you are going to care. If you don't have that paper with you, they're not going to care that you say you got it somewhere. I think they're going to be moving pretty fast.
I mean, we have, it's 2024, so we got papers, we got databases to find out whether or not you are who you say you are, regardless of that. Because you can't tell me that somebody that can't find somebody who can't that can find people who are back behind on their child support can't find somebody who's illegal. Bruh, miss me with that. I don't want to hear it.
They find guys in caves on the other side of the world. They can find you here.
Facts. I think we'll leave it there, man. I'm trying to think. I kind of want to. I think we hit on the abortion thing because I try to address all the rhetoric. We have 3 different minds here, so I try to explain it the best way possible. I guess last thing, because I know it's the 34 count felon argument. If I'm not mistaken, guys, you're not literally a convicted felon until you actually go to prison, right?
Well, technically, you are convicted of a felony or 34 felonies. But my whole thing with that is they just did that for a talking point. There's tapes of people from the DNC saying that the only reason they did this was so that they could say that he's a convicted felon, and then conflate that with the woman who he says he's never met, saying that he touched her in a dressing room at a department store. And the other part of that is when you take misdemeanors and you turn them into felonies just so that you can go after this man, you're literally going after a political opponent and you're doing government funds in order to do so. That in and of itself is unconstitutional and illegal. That's why old boy in the Department of Justice got fired the day after Trump got in office. And Trump was like, I'm just going to fire him, when I get there. They fired him. They said, no, we ain't gonna waste no time with this because you can't prosecute a sitting president. There was nothing to this. They took a bunch of misdemeanors that were past the statute of limitations and turned them into felonies so that they could call him a felon.
I'm very excited for the American TV show that we're about to get because the next couple seasons of the USA is about to be turned.
They're about to call it USA. You're fired. You're fired. You cool. You got to get the hell up out of here.
You're going to jail. You're going to jail. You thought I was going to jail. You're going. He's not playing with people. He seems like the guy that holds a vendetta. And I feel like a lot of dominoes is about to start turning.
But even if he didn't hold a vendetta, if you literally, here's the thing, just like they did with Bill Cosby, there was a guy here in Philly, outside of Philly, a place called Cheltenham, which is literally 20 minutes from me. He said, oh, the last guy who had this job, the last district attorney, he didn't do enough to prosecute Bill Cosby. I'm going to go after Bill Cosby. I have the actual recording of his campaign commercial saying he was going to go after Bill Cosby. And that's exactly what he did on the last day of the statute of limitations. And then once they realized that what they did was entrapment and used documents that were supposed to be sealed in order to seal his fate, and it got turned over on appeal, they charged Bill Cosby and they charged Camille Cosby with not maintaining the loan. You can't charge two people who own the same house for the same crime in order to keep him in prison longer. That's what you call the definition of a vendetta. By that same token, that same crazy big back lady in New York who sat up there and said, well, I'm going to go after Donald Trump. I'm going to get him. I can't wait to get him. Da-da-da-da-da. Sounded like a scrappy dude with a bad weave talking about let me at him. Now she's like, well, we're going to do everything we possibly can in order to make sure that we can protect ourselves from revenge and this, that, and the third. No, don't run scared now. Keep the same energy you had when you was knucking and bucking and ready to fight. I am the same on this camera as I am in person. And I ain't backing. I said it. I meant it. And if there's information that changed my opinion, that's a different thing. But I'm not going to change who I am because now the circumstances have changed and the tables have turned. But that's me being a man. I can't speak for nobody else.
That's a fact.
Listen,
that's not revenge. That's facts.
I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to leave that here. I know we probably going to have plenty of content. Donald Trump hopefully ain't going nowhere. The USA hopefully don't get blown up. We going to have enough to talk about. There's always something happening in this damn planet. I appreciate y'all, man. That is another episode.
Drae, there's one thing I don't want to ruin your wrap up, but I got to talk about it real quick.
Go ahead. Do you think?
Did you see the interview Donald Trump had with Dr. Phil?
I didn't get to watch it, man.
With the Chinese farmland, with the military bases. Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're all by military base. You know who didn't have that problem when he was in office? Donald Trump. Wasn't no weather balloons all over the place. Wasn't nobody off the coast of Miami with putting out nukes and come on, man. No. See, that's the thing. They know who to get. And it's easy to get a feeble man and a woman who may be smart, may not be the quickest on her feet, but damn sure ain't scaring a Putin, ain't scaring a Kim Jong-un. No, but everybody said Trump was crazy for going over to North Korea. Remember when Dennis Rodman was telling Obama, look, go talk to the man. I'm not saying he's a good man. I'm saying just go have a conversation. He just wants to talk.
Yeah.
You can have a conversation and then nuke him if you want. They ain't want to do it. Trump went and did it, and everybody called him crazy. But he ain't.
I think that was brilliant. I think it was brilliant to have a conversation with you. I think that's the only way that you could come to some type of compromise with your number one enemy is if you have a conversation.
Oh, sort of. If you're running for president, you shouldn't just go on shows where everybody agrees with you, like The View and Shannon Sharp and whatnot. Oh, okay, cool.
And I think that Joe Rogan move lost them the election. I think that lost them the election. I do.
I could tell by Shannon Sharp feet. He was ready to vote for Donald Trump when he was talking to camera. That man was so tight. That man was so tight.
The man was on Instagram having sex 2 weeks before the interview.
Michelle.
Now tell me how he get that interview. How does that even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense.
It shows you. Now you look away when you go to the man that was just having sex on Instagram. To do your interview as a presidential candidate, that looks away.
If Melania Trump had a record of hitting her exes, had a record of cheating on her exes and then remarrying, they would have had a field day. But Doug Emhoff did all of that.
Yeah,
said anything.
They be trying to keep that one down.
My good friend Monterey says most effective devil in America is the media.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Doug, Jamal, you gotta look into Doug, man. He oh my Dougie. It ain't he ain't.
Yeah, I heard. I'm gonna keep my thoughts to that. I'm gonna just be quiet. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
quiet.
man. Yo, I appreciate y'all, man. We gonna wrap this. I'm pretty sure we'll circle back again. Dave, I don't even like having a bunch of other people. I'd rather just bring the same people through all the time. You know what I'm saying? This is like me and Dave third time making some content. So I already know how
Fire.
Dave gonna pull up and shut it down, man. You know what I'm saying? So but yeah, I appreciate y'all, man. This was fun. So I'm gonna wrap that here. Peace.
I bet.